Hello, hi. Okay. Hi, and welcome to the Zending. My name is Ricky. I am a Reiki master, and I'm here for a story time. While you're here, please like and subscribe. This should have been the first episode, sort of like the history of how I found Reiki or how Reiki found me. But I kind of left that part out. So, in today's episode, we'll give a story time on how Reiki found me. It involves Japan, it involves China, Thailand. A lot of things had to fall in place for Reiki to kind of find me. And I think that's the overall sort of lesson I want to share with you. So, stick around if that sounds good to you, and we'll get right into the story. In order to get to me actually sitting in a Reiki 1 classroom, we have to start all the way back in 2011 in Japan. So at that time, I was working for Cirque du Soleil as a therapist in the performance medicine department. The show was called Zed at Tokyo Disney. If you saw it, then kudos to you because you witnessed a beautiful, amazing thing that doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. A shout out to all my Zed people out there, Zed fans. It was a great experience, a great time working there. So I was working there, and we had a week dark. If you don't know what dark means, that's basically break. That's the biz lingo. So yeah, we had a 1 week dark, and I was like, what should I do? Now I had already been to Kyoto one time. I went by myself. I saw the temples and shrines, and I did the whole thing. While I was there that first time, I also met. I made a friend, I'll just say, and I was kind of curious to know what that friend was up to. So, oh my gosh, I hope. Well, they might watch this. We're still connected in a way. So yeah, I was like, okay, let me go back and check out what's going on there, and so yeah, motivation. That's my motivation. It's fine. I'm not ashamed of it. I love you, love me. So I went back to Kyoto to see what it do, and while I was there, as you may know, so that was March 2011 when I was there. So while I was visiting, the earthquake and tsunami happened. When the earthquake happened, I was in Kyoto. I was at a shrine. I'm not going to remember the name. Actually, I have a picture. I'll put a picture of the pamphlet I took, because what was crazy is I was at that shrine. I had turned my phone off, and I kind of was just having a day to myself, and kind of just like, I mean, I wouldn't even say meditating, because by that point I didn't have any kind of practice. I was just kind of in the zone and having time to myself. And it wasn't until after I left that my phone kind of started to blow up. My friend was like, did you see the news? Did you feel that? And honestly, I had no idea that anything had happened. And what's crazy about that is that the temple that I was visiting, they had like the plum blossoms. And so I was kind of taking those in, and I didn't feel anything. And that temple actually was built in honor of the gods of earth. So I thought that was, I found that out. I put that all together afterwards, but I thought that was really interesting. Like, wow, I was sort of like having a Zen day in this temple dedicated to the gods of the earth, and this earthquake happened. Everything's kind of a bit in chaos because I'm in Kyoto. I'm not sure what's happening at work. Am I meant to return or stay where I'm at? So there were kind of a few days of just being in limbo, waiting for a decision to be made from my employer about whether or not they were going to evacuate. I was told to stay put. Actually, that's another, not funny, but sort of, I was a little bit awkward because I was visiting this friend. I didn't want to overstay my welcome because it was still kind of, there was nothing defined. It was just kind of a chill. We were talking. It was a chill thing. So I decided, I was like, oh, I'm going to leave, and I'll just go back to Tokyo and wait it out and see what happens. So I said my goodbyes to him.
I'll never let go. I promise.
And I remember thinking, okay, I need to go get like a suitcase. And I heard and I saw photos that the shelves, like food and stuff, was all gone around Tokyo. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take back a suitcase full of food, da da da. And just planning it kind of got me overwhelmed. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit down and like have a coffee and sort of just wait and like calm down before I actually make a plan. And while I was having that coffee, my boss phones me and she says, hey, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm about to head back to Tokyo. And she's like, don't come to Tokyo. And I was just like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're probably going to be evacuated from wherever you are. So just stay put. And it's just like, okay. Well, I just kind of left the place I was staying. I don't want to go back there. So I was thinking, well, if I fly out, it'll probably be out of Osaka. So let me just make my way to Osaka and I'll figure it out then. So I just kind of just got on a Shinkansen. No, I didn't even have to take a Shinkansen. I just took a regular train. And on the train ride, as I was heading to Osaka, one of my good girlfriends from Tokyo calls me. Hey Emmy, she wouldn't mind me saying her name. My friend Emmy called me and she's like, oh my God, what are you doing? Where are you? Are you okay? And I'm like, hey, I'm on this train. I'm heading to Osaka. I don't know what is going to happen next. I think I'm going to be flown out of here, but I'm kind of just on standby. And, she was like, oh my God, me too. I'm waiting for a ticket. I'm going to go see my dad, da da da. So we both were like, let's meet up. Let's share a room. Let's hang until we both have a plan. So we met up in Osaka. We got a hotel. From there, I finally got a ticket and I was evacuated and I was flown to Macau, China. And this is where all of us, all the cast and crew of the show were there. There was another production, Kuza by Cirque du Soleil. They also were sent there. And we all kind of were these 3 productions because there already was a show in Macau called Zaya. So there were 3 productions in one place. And we were all just kind of waiting to see what would happen next. And of course, being Macau, we were staying at the Venetian at a hotel casino. So what else was there to do but sort of like indulge in what was in front of us. So one night out on the casino floor, having drinks and gambling and running around with everybody, I bumped into this Australian girl and we had a moment. We had a little kiki. I don't even know how we got to talking. She might have even come up to me, maybe. I don't remember. But basically, she was like, you have to meet my gays. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. So I met her group and we had a fun night out. And before I left with them, they said, hey, we're going to Hong Kong tomorrow. You should join us. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I got nothing else to do. I'm literally just like stuck here. So we met for brunch the next day in the hotel. And then we made our way to Hong Kong. I guess I'll interject here by saying, this was like one of those crossroads, right? I could have easily said no to the invitation and just gone on about my life and waited for my next steps as far as getting out of China and back home. But, I kind of just lived in the moment and I've had a good feeling about the group. They were really fun, lighthearted. And I think it helped that it was a girl with her gays, and that kind of vibe helped kind of like, I don't know. I just felt really safe to say yes to the invitation. So we got on the ferry the next day, definitely hungover, definitely not a good idea. I don't recommend hungover ferry from Hong Kong or from Macau to Hong Kong. That was a struggle, let me tell you. I've never... the camera stopped. Okay, we get to the hotel. I can tell from the outside of the hotel that it's one of those fancy kind of boutique hotels. And if you've seen the documentary of Edward Snowden, you'll recognize that's the Mira. That's the hotel he stayed in as he was waiting to find out if he was going to get extradited or what his next move was after all his stuff happened. So I get to reception and I just know it's going to be a thing. The receptionist, oh, it's so lovely. Your friends called ahead. We're able to reserve a room for you on the same floor. It's our executive floor with access to our executive lounge. I'm just like, oh God, like, the world's ending. Put it on the credit card, Again, that's one of those YOLO moments. And that's how I kind of like went about life. Sort of YOLO, FOMO, all that stuff. That was me. Just like, psh. So I put the card down on the room, get checked in. I'm looking at all the lotions and potions and soaps, and the name is written on the screen. Back then that was still kind of like, ooh, fancy. It's a personalized television. And yeah, I'm getting into the room, feeling my vibe, and then I get a knock on the door, and it's John, and I'm just like, hey, what's up? And he's just like, hey, so my room that I'm sharing with my friend, it really reeks of smoke and I'm really sensitive to that. So do you mind if I share with you? And I'm just like,
I smell a star.
Sure. How do you say no to that? And there's all kinds of thoughts like, okay, I just met this person, but we just had a fun night together. They've invited me on this, this trip to Hong Kong, across the harbor. So like, lean into your intuition. And I just felt fine, and he seemed honest about it. And so I was like, yeah, come on in, no problem. So he comes in, I go back on my phone, and there was no music. Usually I have music, but there was nothing on. It was just dead silence. And for me, I was just like, there's an elephant in the room here. Like, is this a play or what's going on? And finally he was like, I just need to say, this isn't what you think it is. And that was kind of nice. It kind of like broke the tension of like, is this a move, or is he gonna make a move, or this is kind of some kind of setup? I was just like, I was a little bit on guard, but that kind of helped break the mood because he was like, "This is not what you think it is. I'm totally like in love with somebody. Like I've been talking to them. It's new and fresh, and I'm excited about it. I don't want anything else from you. I just really hate smoke." And it's just like, okay, fine, we're good. Okay, so that's how I met John, and John is important to the story because John is what gets me to Bangkok, basically. I was touring, this is 2 years later, touring around the world still. We had about 4 weeks of a break, and instead of coming back to the States, I decided to go to Bangkok. I don't remember why I decided to go to Bangkok. I knew I didn't come back to the States because accounting was like, we're doing this exclusion tax thing, so you can't come back to the States. You have to stay off of US soil for those reasons. So I looked into places and I think I just landed on Bangkok. So I actually messaged John because I was like, well, we've been liking photos and we follow each other and we've had a casual sort of electronic dynamic. So I messaged him like, hey, any recommendations on places to stay? I'm going to be in Bangkok for a month. And he wrote back saying, that's crazy. I'm actually going to be I'm going to be out of town during those dates. So do you want to sublease my apartment? And I was like, yes, awesome, perfect, done. So one really nice thing that John did was before he left, he emailed all of his friend group in Bangkok and said, hey, this guy Ricky is subletting my place. He's good people. Take care of him while I'm gone. And from that email, I got invited to this birthday party, and I decided to go. And I guess I need you to understand, like, there were so many decisions that needed to happen for me to get to Bangkok, first of all, and even to get to this birthday party. So yeah, I decide, yeah, why not? I'll go to the birthday party. And so I show up by myself. Like, I don't know anybody in Bangkok. I'm just like, I got invited, and everyone was super nice. And I think that's what I learned in Bangkok. The expat culture is super open for the most part. At least that was my experience. I think I had the benefit of being sort of welcomed into a friend group right away. So shout out to all my Bangkok peeps. But yeah, so I showed up to this birthday party, and it was this elaborate party with like a drag performance, and it was an amazing space and really cool people. And I ended up seeing, let's call him Mowgli, in a corner, kind of sitting with a friend, and they were giving me really chill vibes, and I was like, okay, that's my people. Like, now that I've been overstimulated, I want to just kind of sit and chill and talk to somebody. So I approached Mowgli and was like, hey, I'm Ricky, nice to meet you. Talked about what I did for a living, and he's like, have you heard of Reiki? And I'm like, no, and I hadn't heard of Reiki up to this point. And he said, I had this amazing experience last week. I really recommend you look into it. Give me your number and we can sort of.
Just cut the bullshit, okay? Now, what do you really want from me?
And I was like, yes, absolutely. I'm down. I'm open to, first of all, having a friend or like getting a phone number just to like have somebody to talk to. Because again, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand by myself for a month. And so we exchanged numbers. A couple days later, he calls me and he's like, so let's meet up. I'm like, absolutely. And he wants to know where I'm at in the city. And I said, oh, I'm off of this train station. I think it's Ratchadamri. And he's like, yeah, that's my train station. What street? This street. Oh, that's my street too. What building? That's my building. And I'm just like, in all of Bangkok, this guy is in the same building that I'm subletting out of. And if I remember correctly, he didn't know John. I don't think they knew each other. So yeah, this crazy serendipitous moment. And again, I'm just like, okay, obviously we need to meet, because even though I wasn't super spiritual, I mean, I was always spiritual. I had a belief, but like I didn't have like a constant practice, but I always believed in serendipity and like there's no such thing as a coincidence. So I was like, we definitely are meant to meet. So I met up with him. Actually, I didn't even meet up with him. We just spoke on the phone, and I was like, you know what? I'm sold. Like, whatever else you need to tell me about Reiki, I believe it. I'm into it because like this was meant to happen. So there was a Reiki 1 workshop that very weekend, and he told me about it, and I said, done, sold. So I signed up that night for the workshop, and that's how I got into Reiki. So that very weekend was the Reiki 1 workshop, and I had an amazing experience with that. And maybe I'll save that for another story time. I guess I just share that story to share with you. Trust your gut, trust your instinct. You've got protection, whether you know it or not, or want to know it or not. We've all got spiritual guides that have got our back. So, usually, if you're feeling good about something, that probably means that's the direction you should probably take yourself. Because again, it took so many decisions on my part, sort of along the way, to like get me to sitting in that workshop that weekend. And I'm so thankful that I trusted myself and my instincts to take that step by step to get there. So yeah, that's the story time of how I started Reiki. If you like the story time, comment down below. Let me know if you want to see more story times just about my life in general, or even about Reiki in my life. A lot has happened, so there's a lot to tell. Please make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe for future content, and make sure you turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss future video drops. Make sure to check out Gen XY Zen. Stay tuned for future episodes here at the Zending, where we'll get into more meditative and physical practice to help get you back to Zen, back to one, and just have a happy, healthy life. It's tough in these days, but it's good to have some tools to help get yourself there. So stay tuned here for more on that. Once again, my name is Ricky. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, my catchphrase. Wait, I feel like I should give background. So, merci bonne chance is from my time living in Montreal. I was trying to be funny and like speak French, and that just came out. You don't usually put those together apparently in French, so that kind of stuck. Akskari samadeshita means thank you for working with me today. I used to say that every day when leaving my job in Tokyo. I had 2 Japanese coworkers, so we'd always say Akskari samadeshita. See you tomorrow. On that note, merci bonne chance. Akskara deshita. Talk to you soon. Bye. Whew. Got it done.